Welcome. My name is Terrance Maynard, and I'm doing my presidential briefing on James Jim Webb. So, Democrat James Jim Webb announced his presidential candidacy on Thursday, July 2nd, 2015. So here are some brief things to know about the former Virginia senator. Let's start with his military background. Webb, a 1968 graduate of the Naval Academy, is a highly decorated Vietnam veteran who received medals across the Navy Cross, the Silver Star, and 2 Purple Hearts for his service. Let's talk about what Webb is infamously or famously known for. So, in January 2007, not long after taking his Senate seat in 2006, Webb was taped to deliver the Democratic response to George W. Bush's State of the Union address. Webb concluded his remarks with a blistering attack on Bush's conduct after the Iraq War. Bush, Webb said, took the United States into a war recklessly, and the nation was now held hostage to the predictable and predicated disarray that has followed. On the lighter side, Webb, a former Republican, served as Secretary of the Navy under the GOP administration. However, his tenure was short-lived, and his departure from the post was not on the best of terms. Furious over the Defense Secretary Frank Carlucci's proposed budget request, Webb wrote in his resignation letter to President Ronald Reagan in February 1988 about Carlucci's response. He said, "I am unable to support him personally or to defend this amended budget." On a lighter side again, Webb is a prolific author. Long before running for office in 1978, Webb authored over 10 books, including the acclaimed 1978 Vietnamese novel, Field of Fire. His work became a political issue in the late 2006 Senate campaign after his opponent, Republican Senator George Allen, attacked his use of graphic sex scenes and for passage that Allen said demeaned women. Webb labeled Allen's attacks just as a smear tactic, and Webb went on to win the narrow victory over Allen in November. So, as Webb being the presidential candidate-elect for the Democratic Party, let's talk about some of the platforms that he's decided to focus on. So, one of his biggest ones is criminal justice reform. Webb notes that that is not just a political issue, but an issue of leadership. The United States, as he has studied, has one of the highest incarceration rates in the world. He says millions of our citizens are either in prison or under the supervision of our criminal justice system. As Senator Webb spent most of his time exhaustively examining the components of the process in prison, from point of apprehension to the length of sentencing of our prison inmates, to even investigating prison administration and doing sociology studies on the challenging of re-entering society for prison inmates. If elected president, Webb would drastically bring change to the criminal justice system with heavy reform. He also focuses really big on foreign policy. He said there's no such thing as a right for any president to blindly lead anybody's nation with any troops into war. He says instead of masking it as a humanitarian intervention, presidents should really seek to negotiate and sign treaties before sending our troops into harm's way. Lastly, one of his biggest platforms is economic fairness. He says if you have enough money to buy stocks, you're probably doing okay these days. If you have enough money to work in a successful company that provides stocks, bonds, and bonuses, then you're probably doing very well. However, if you're spending all your income paying rent and putting food on the table and clothes on your children's backs, then you're probably living outside of the American dream. So Webb asserts that he is going to bring that concept of the American dream to more people across all classes in the United States. Webb also campaigns on issues such as good governance and improving the United States infrastructures. Fun facts about Webb is that he has 6 children, lives in Northern Virginia with his wife, Hong Lee Webb. He speaks proficient Vietnamese and has done extensive pro bono work in the Vietnamese community. Thank you. My name is Terrance Maynard again, and here's my weekly briefing on my candidate. I hope to see you next week. Have a great day.